In all the woodworking realm, I find making small containers not only the most challenging, but the most rewarding. I love making them. And in fact, if you look in the background of pretty much all my videos, you'll find small containers everywhere. Because the smaller you get, the tighter the tolerances have to be. It really is a great skill exercise. Plus, they don't take up too much material, and small boxes and stuff are what people put their most cherished possessions in. It seems to be what they most value the most. And if you've ever walked into somebody's house, you've seen really nice inbuilt bookcases, nice tables and stuff like that. What is it we always comment on? The nice bowl sitting on it, holding all the stuff. The box in the corner, all the little decorative stuff like that, that just really draws out people's attention. So it's kind of an ego boost when you can make that kind of stuff and have people hold it in their hands and notice the quality. This is not a 5-foot rule where it looks good, so if you got 1/64 of an inch off, it's no big deal. This has to be to the thousandths of an inch to work. And yes, I do make a lot of square items, square boxes, nice recessed hinges or knife edge hinges, all that kind of stuff. But today I want to talk about turn boxes. And turn boxes don't have to be just round cylinders. They can be square items. They can be triangles. They can be spiraling triangles. There's lots of different stuff you can do about it. But the hardest thing there is to master seems to be lids, because boxes have so many different kinds of functions. I have a box right here, a nice end grain pagoda box. Notice the grain matches top to bottom. I use it to hold Q-tips. But this is the kind of box that you want the bottom to be heavy enough so that it doesn't move when you lift it off. Easy access. You don't want to have to be dealing with it. It's a one-handed operation. Same for this long grain style box, where I had one offcut from a lumber mill where I just took it and flipped it over to get a somewhat grain matched on the top. But once again, you want it loose enough that you can just lift it off. People don't want to work to get into their M&Ms or paper clips or whatever if it's sitting on your office desk. But it can't be loose enough that it rattles. Because if it's moving around, it seems to diminish the quality. And since people are holding it, touching it, dealing with it, that little bit really does stand out. Then you might have boxes where something might have to have an airtight seal. But once again, you don't want it to lift off. It needs to be a one-handed operation. Well, you might then have to design the tolerances so tight that it will actually lift up the box a little bit with a vacuum seal, so that just the weight of whatever contents inside will make it stay on the table. Then you might have boxes like this right here. This is where I hold my saw guide for my hand saws. Notice, once again, grain operating around. But this is something I just want to throw in a drawer, but I don't want it to open up. So you need a fairly tight seal that will hold its own weight. It can rattle around and do anything. You actually have to put pressure on it to separate it. Pops out. You got whatever valuable items you have on it on the inside, and it will go together fairly easily. And listen to the click fit. Pretty cool, huh? Lots of different variations. Once again, I find the hardest thing to do is mastering that locking mechanism or the fit of the mortise and tenon in a turn joint. So let's explore that today. I'll show you one variation that I do quite a bit. But first, got to go get some lumber. One of the reasons I like this drive center that fits into my one-way chuck just perfectly is because when I'm making a tenon, I don't have to measure anymore. I just look over at the circle on this side and get it close. Works out pretty well. Using a 1/2 inch spindle gouge to do my end grain hollowing because I like that a lot better than scraping most of it away because it does more cutting than scraping. And I've been using this one right here, but I reground this a few weeks ago with a wicked edge on the side, which I really do like better for fine work and stuff like that. So over the holiday break, my family bought me a 5/8 inch spindle gouge, which is one size bigger than this one. That I'm going to use a special grind on the tip for most of my future end grain hollowing. And I'll be making a video on making a really cool weighted handle on that in the future. So keep your eyes out for that. Either I didn't turn on the little red button or it just stopped filming. But what I just did was I took this scraper. This is the only square scraper I have. I use it for cutting the dovetails to fit in the dovetail jaws. It's got cut out on the side. And what I do is I line up this little angle right there with my bed rails in a reflection to make sure I go straight in. And what I did was I put a very straight shoulder on this side for the mortise of the Morrison tenon joint. I then just put a little flat right there. At this point in time, I'm going to do any kind of decorations I want on the interior because this will be the last time I get to finish or touch the interior of this little Acorn top. Okay, if you haven't noticed, we are making a small Acorn box. I used to make a lot of them. It's been about 6 months since I did my last production run, but I like making them because in the farmers markets they have that kind of earthy vegetable feel, nuts and stuff like that. But also, I can sell them to ladies because they will assemble them. They're nice, roundly shaped. They're sized so that you can put in aspirins, Band-Aids, safety pins, all your loose stuff that they normally carry in a bag. put it all in that small little box and put it in their purse, and then they can find all that stuff by feel, by just reaching in and finding that little wooden box. I also kind of like the idea of having a nice wooden bowl on a table or a vanity or something like that with a bunch of different acorns from different species, and each one might have a different piece of jewelry. You can use the bowl as a jewelry container, or during Christmas time as a advent calendar or something like that. Or I should say the holiday season. Pardon. Anyways, I like making the acorn boxes, plus the fact that you can't really screw up the shape. It doesn't matter what your acorn looks like. If somebody says, well, that doesn't look like an acorn to me, you can say, well, it's from the whatchamacallit oak tree. There are lots of different oaks, and they all make a slightly different variation of an acorn. So just make something up. Anyways, the acorn box that I make typically uses a mortise and tenon joint. And you saw me finish the interior of the top of it, and I made certain to make a very straight mortise. So I made the top of my acorn box with a very straight mortise. Okay? I really focus on that because it's very easy to make a straight mortise. Adding shapes to it is very hard. Now, common wisdom would say, well, for the tenon, just make it straight so it will slide up. But there are some reasons why you might not want to do that one. If you have a perfect circle, I have a piece of tape roll right here, you have the perfect circle. Well, what happens if somebody assembles it and it's slightly off? Well, that tenon distance makes it wider in this section, even though it's the same size here. So it will fit in, and then they will push it in, and that has a potential for cracking the wood, especially in an end grain box. Other things. You're pushing it in, if it's a perfect fit, there's no way for the air to escape. And believe it or not, air pressure will build up on the inside. So you actually want air to escape, but then not to come back in, so it forms a small vacuum. It makes it harder to pull apart than put together. Thirdly, fitting a long tenon is just hard to do. So, by adding a curve to the situation, all those problems get changed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for the beeper and come back to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tenon on the acorn ever so slightly too big. Okay? And then I'm going to cut in a relief cut down on bottom, just to make it easier to do. And then I'm going to round over the tops. This will make it easier for people to assemble it because they want to get that perfect fit. And then I'm going to put a curve right here. It's going to come out, in, and then come back out to the perfect setting. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is twofold, basically. It's to allow air to be your friend in forming a nice seal. Because air will section up in here, and as you pull it down, it will release. And that way, as you get towards the bottom of pulling off, it'll be easier to pull off. But it'll be tight at the very beginning. Secondly, sizing it to that perfect fit. Remember, if you're shaving off this whole straight line, it's very easy to screw it up and get it too loose. But if you have a nice curve right here that's just ever so slightly too big, well, then you can use sandpaper. And sandpaper, you just touch it, refit it. Slightly touch it, refit it. And you're only having to remove just the very tops of that one curve until it fits perfectly. And then what you'll end up with is a slight curve on top to make it easy, a curve in the middle, and a perfect fitting acorn bottom. You see what we're doing? We're using a curve to relieve material, make it easier to fit, and also to handle air evacuation. So, let's get to fitting this bottom on the acorn. So I have the acorn bottom right here, and I have the acorn top right here with the second section. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing this line down. Now, that is not the full depth of the tenon. I'm just doing that so I can get that initial setting up close, and then I'll put a slight angle on it which will be that little corner on the top. That will allow me to fit it to a slightly too big so I can see the little burnish mark. So that's what I'm doing next. So there we go. A small little Acorn box. Just big enough for your palm. Easily fit inside a purse or a bag. All that's left is parting it off and sanding the little tip. So, there we go. One grain match, top to bottom, little Acorn box. And listen for the click. Click solid. Nice firm close. It'll fit in somebody's purse. It's not going to come apart very easily. It'll hold some aspirin, maybe a folded up Band-Aid, whatever. But like a lot of things in wood turning, it's just a little bit of thinking outside the box that will make things that much better. A step above everybody else. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please consider liking, subscribing, telling a friend about our channel. We also have an online store where we sell stuff like this. Bowls, boxes, cabinets, that kind of stuff. Even some handmade, shop-made tools. And occasionally, if I replace one of my personal tools with another antique, I'll put the one I had up on the online store too. Plus, there's lots of other ways you can patronize us. Just visit wortheffort.com. I run a blog and all that kind of stuff, and there's a little support button there that'll tell you all that you need to know. And remember one last thing. It is always worth the effort to learn, create, and share with others. Y'all be safe and have fun. 'Twas a good day.